First of all, guys, I want to thank you for bringing rock and roll back into the world. I mean,
Oh, shucks.
or at least into the charts. Because I think that's a great mission, actually.
It is, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we'd reveal more of our mission, but we had to eat the tape that, that the mission was given to us on. It was either eat it, this recording will self-destruct in 10 seconds.
Yeah. No, but actually, oh, look at that. People are swimming here with their clothes on.
Their clothes on. Idiots.
Crazy idiots. But what you have done is no less, I think, than throwing a bomb into the whole music business. Don't you
Think
think?
so?
Yeah.
I wish we would have thrown a bomb in the music business and they all would have been at least dismembered. But I don't know, it was more like a firecracker, ladyfinger.
Yeah.
Pop, that's about it. I mean,
A small snap of the finger.
that's right, exactly.
Is that, you mean, from your point of view?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just look at it, I mean, we just kind of came into this thing with really high ideals, but now it seems like a lot of the garbage is proliferating, and so we've got more of a jaded perspective on things. What we're doing is nothing new. It's just that our band happened to penetrate into the mainstream.
Yeah, so mainstream kids now are realizing the fact that they can start bands.
Yeah.
I think that's very good. It's very nice and flattering that we helped aid something like that. But I don't know. That ideal has always been around in the underground, and to me, it seems kind of it seems really sad that so many people have a hard time finding small record shops or underground or independent type of music, where in every city there's at least 2 or 3 of those kind of shops. And it doesn't seem to me to be that hard of a thing to find, But some people are so, I don't know, narrow-minded or just unaware to where they need something like someone as accessible as us to be thrown into their faces to where they realize that there are small record shops and independent labels and people doing things on their own.
So maybe that's the most important thing then with the whole Nirvana thing, as it is called, that you actually give people the chance to find other bands, finding those record shops and stuff.
Well, yeah, just in like interviews, just naming names of bands. So maybe somebody could be watching. So I never heard of that band. Maybe I'll go check them out.
Yeah. Like bringing Teenage Fan Club on tour with you now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We've been on tour with like Shonen Knife.
It's as simple as this. Go to your telephone directory, look into the pages where it says record shops, call up all the record shops and ask, do you sell independent music? Do you sell independent records? And then find the address. If they say yes, go to the shop, find fanzines, and there are all kinds of little distribution. I mean, there are distributions of little fanzines and magazines that are homemade by kids who are fans, which is why they're called fanzines. And then they can find out about all this kind of music. It's really simple. They really shouldn't need bands like us to tell them about things like that. It's a really simple thing to do.
Do you think that the hysteria around you now is a bit ridiculous?
I don't know. I don't really pay a lot of attention to it. I mean, what do hysteria. We got a lot of attention. You know what I mean? A lot of like Teen Spirit was kind of played into the ground. Kind of made me feel a little self-conscious. What do you guys think of hysteria?
Oh, it's a load of shit. I think there are at least 10 to 15 other bands who are just as good, if not better than us, and they deserve just as much attention as we do if they choose to take that attention, if they want it, But I think the reason that we've become so popular is because we were on a major label and we were exposed. We had the tools and the access to the mainstream in order to expose ourselves to the mainstream.
Yeah, because I mean, if you've been following American independent or alternative music for a while. I mean, there's from the mid-'80s there've been loads of really good bands like Sonic Youth and
Better bands and
Butthole Surfers and Pixies and all of these guys. And
There's always been really good substantial stuff underneath the surface ever since the 60s, you know?
Yeah.
And just for some reason, I don't know if it was some conspiracy or it might be just that labels invest money in some crap and they just want their money back, and so they just shove this down the throats of the mainstream. Or they've like read some demographic survey says that, you know, people want more disco or whatever, and they say give more disco, and then people are given disco or whatever, and then they say in the survey that they want disco. It's just like a vicious circle.
It's the same thing with the hippies. It's like the hippies started out in San Francisco with a small group of people, and by 1967 the people who started the hippie movement denounced the hippie movement by the time before it became commercialized, because I feel the same way with underground music. Once it gets commercialized, it really doesn't matter, because by the time that all the hippies...
It's not underground anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah, but by the time the hippie movement was so huge and the mainstream was aware of it, the fringe people, you know, the people in the suburbs who weren't aware of the hippie movement at the beginning finally turned into hippies, but they were fake hippies, you know what I mean? They weren't really hippies, they were just growing their hair long and smoking pot every once in a while and talking about peace and love, but they really didn't understand it. And that's what's happening with the supposedly alternative underground music scene right now. And it happened in the early 80s with New Wave, you know? It's just a cycle. And
that's inevitable, isn't it?
Oh, sure, yeah. But I don't know, I may sound really negative about it, but I sincerely think that the generation underneath our generation, the kids who are around like 15 or even 9 to 12 to 20 years old, are a bit more aware and a bit more intelligent. I think education is a little bit better right now, and the reason that kids are more educated is because they choose to be more educated. I don't know why that is, I can't explain it, but I just feel like kids right now in their teenage years are a lot more aware of things, and they're a bit more passionate about things. They're not as cynical as we were when we were teenagers.
Everybody's trying to sign, you know, the next Nirvana. It's become sort of a ghost in the record industry. Who will find the next Nirvana?
Well, the same thing happened in the punk movement when it happened in the late 70s. It's like major record labels were signing punk bands by just shortly after, like, most punk bands' first gigs. You know, a punk band would start, play their first gig, you know, and they'd be signed to a major label right away, you know, just because it's a trend right now. And that just proves that there are a lot of old school dinosaurs in the record industry still who need to be weeded out. And one positive thing about that is that there are a lot of people our age, in our mid-20s to the 30s, who have pretty much the same ideals as we do, who are starting to infiltrate the major label record companies. You know, they're starting to get jobs there. They're getting jobs at MTV. They're getting jobs in all those companies and at labels. So eventually the old people will die. You know?
Maybe this is the white suburban kids who want to have their thing, that they can relate to, just as much as the black kids could to hip-hop and the black music.
Yeah, I know, it just seems like, especially like popular culture, things are just like so hazy anymore between the generations. Like rock and roll you even have your own allotted rock band for your generation. Like if you're between 40 and 50 years old, you have like Mark Knopfler and Genesis and Elton John, and you know, and the young kids have like us and Sonic Youth or whatever. So it's even.
But there are a lot of kids like in high school who are listening to the same music as their parents. You know, it's really gross. It's not as bad as it was just a few years ago. I remember, you know, the same kids in high school listening to Bruce Springsteen, and so were their parents. You know, there's like no generation gap at all. And I think that there's just starting to become a generation gap again.
A lot of that depends on your circumstances too, and how much information you get where you live, right? In the city, you're more inclined to be into the more hip stuff. You're out in the rural places, forget it, you know.
But I hope you agree with me when I think that the future is kind of, looks bright for good music, for good rock.
Yeah.
Well,
never know.
I think the future looks good for good bands with integrity to be exposed, to at least have the opportunity to be exposed. But I've always felt that, like, every 10 years there's always a handful of really, really good bands. There always has been. If I would have grown up in the 60s, the late 60s, I would have only liked a handful of bands. I think most of it's bullshit, like Strawberry Alarm Clock and Vanilla Fudge and all that stuff. It's just crap, But most of that stuff is looked upon now as being really cool, But I only would have liked Blue Cheer and the Stooges, and Black Sabbath. I can only think of like maybe 5 bands I would have liked if I would have grown up in those days, And that's the same way it is now. I can think of about 10 bands I really, really like.
Plus, there's so much opportunity for exploitation. I mean, you can look at, you were saying how thank you for bringing rock music back, and a few years back it was like, rap music, and there was a point where rap was underground, and it took about 10, 12 years for it to become mainstream, and now there's like, Vanilla Ice and New Kids on the Block. I mean, just total exploitation, and it can happen independent,
Yeah, and those people are the ones who always reap the benefits too,
Right.
Like, what's that guy's name?
Why is Fab Five Freddy? What's he doing in Vanilla Ice is a total millionaire?
Yeah, right. The guy that was, I can't remember the name, the guy that, I was totally missing my mind. I can't remember who it was.
Maurice Starr.
Some Maurice Starr.
Right. He's the general. He's the New Kids on the Block's manager, and it went to his head so much that he started wearing this like flashy Liberace type general suit around. Like, well, I'm the general.
He's a rock.
He's the generalissimo. What is he going to do? Is he's going to take over some third world country with some junta and be CIA funded. And you know what? You know who's going to be president? It's Donnie from New Kids on the Block. He's going to be a puppet for the CIA and United Fruit.
And then they're all going
Chiquita
to
Banana.
commit suicide, right?
That's right. In Jonestown type Kool-Aid. They're going to drink.
Let's talk about you for a while. Is it fun to be famous?
Not if you're walking down the street.
Not when people recognize you, not when you can't have a moment. You can't. The people are waiting in the lobby of your hotel and constantly asking you for your signature, which still baffles me. I don't understand the autograph concept at all, but I figure it's almost a waste of breath to explain to people why you don't want to do it. But it's stupid. I mean, what is famous?
It can be a burden, to be wanting to be famous, kind of vain, really. If you think about it, everybody look at me, It's like it'll pass someday.
Most people who are really famous end up staying in their hotel rooms all the time. Total reclusives, and then they don't do anything. That sucks.
It's a scaring perspective, isn't it?
I don't want to turn into that kind of a person, but I can understand why Prince is such a freak, because people, paw him all the time, and I try to walk around in every town and go to record stores and stuff, and I really don't get hassled that much, but it's enough to make me really think about, well, should I go into this record store, and I shouldn't have to even think about stuff like that, but I guess that's fame, And until people's attitudes change about fame and guitar solos and all that kind of stuff, I'll just have to put up with it.
When it comes to your future, there's all sorts of rumors going on about how your next album will sound. Some people say it's going to be really wild, raw and confusing. Some say it's going to be really quiet and acoustic and pretty.
How does anyone know? Do we?
Where did they get the information?
We're recording our record next month. Did you know that?
Are we? Are we gonna do it in my basement? Are we gonna do it in my basement? Where are we gonna
some
do
of it. I'd like to try to do some of it, but I think I'd like to do it reciprocal. And with Steve Albini and Jack Endino. Not at the same time, but I was thinking maybe we should record like all the songs with Jack Endino and then all the songs with Steve Albini and then some with Barrett and then and then like pick the best of all.
So we're gonna do it next month?
I'd love to.
We have to. It has to be.
great.
It has
I'd like
to
to do
be
it
pressed
right
by
away.
November. See, that's the whole thing. It has to be like on the shelves by November.
Yeah.
Is that in your contract?
No, that's just our.
That's
It is
our
now.
demands.
Damn it. We'll just send them this tape.
You only have contract for one more record, is that right? With Geffen?
Oh no, six or seven.
Oh,
Our
I see.
career.
Are you pleased with that company,
That is.
the way they work?
Yeah, they're good.
They're nice people.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
major label.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, but even it's just all business type, rock and roll business. Ties my head in knots,
It's better to keep your mind off of the business aspect of the whole deal. And just focus on
It's gonna grow.
eating.
But you have to be aware of it, or people will start taking advantage of you. You know, you have to check in every once in a while.
Lots of people think that you're really wild people, taking shiploads of drugs every day and, wrecking hotel rooms and stuff. I suppose you've met that kind of attitude.
Well, I think a lot of people have the basic misconceptions, just whatever, the hotel trashing, drug doing.
Just cliches.
Yeah, and it's just stupid. I mean, hey, we're a rock
It's
band. We're
all
supposed
Everett
to do
True's
drugs,
fault. It's all Everett True's fault. You know who he is? He's
Yeah.
the biggest rock star journalist there is in the whole world right now. Yeah. It's all his fault.
He's
He
walking
just
around
he
here.
lies about us all the time. He's a dick. I hate his guts. No, I'm just kidding.
That's another chapter, the rock press. Are
You
you
just had him in a headlock over there.
Is he here?
Yeah, he's here.
He's here.
Oh yeah. No, he's a good friend of ours. He's
Yeah.
fine.
But I've heard
If you don't have a story, you may as well lie about it, right?